predicted, the doctor of the future will give no medicine.
Join us again for the young and the restless.
Each day, a part of our beautiful Earth is dying. As trees are cut down and not replaced, soil erosion is destroying the land on which people depend for survival. Already, over half the children on Earth are hungry and malnourished. Through CARE, you can give a gift that grows. By supporting the Care for the Earth campaign, you'll be helping the world's needy people to reclaim the land, to grow trees and life-giving food. Give a gift that grows and that will continue to grow for generations to come. CARE, Box 576, New York 10156.
This is CBS.
About 180 members of the Health Workers Union have gone out on strike against Share Health Associates clinics, 6 clinics in the Twin Cities area. I'm Mike Walcher, and from St. Paul, I will be reporting live.
And there's also some other economic news we'll be looking at this noon. The report is in for 1984 inflation, which remained in check for the 3rd year in a row. And OPEC is talking about a decision that could affect what we pay for fuel.
And on this, day 3 of the tragedy in Reno, we'll return there with a live conversation with Tony Vigneri on what's being planned today. The noon report is next.
There's no single cheese like Velveeta.
'Cause Velveeta is more than one single cheese.
Like Colby, Swiss, and cheddar.
Blend it all together for a creamy taste that melts with ease. Velveeta processed cheese spread is so much fun. Lots of natural cheeses are better than one. Velveeta really knows how to please. You just can't stop till the very last drop. There's no single cheese like Velveeta.
Wouldn't it be great if there was a soybean herbicide that worked one pass or two? That it controlled grasses and tough weeds like foxtail, pigweed, lamb's quarters, and help stop nightshade? One that'd keep on working right through harvest and yet not carry over to next season's crops? Well, now there is. It's called Sonalan from Elanco. Sonalan gives you season-long grass and weed control at a reasonable cost. Soybeans and Sonalan, they're made for each other.
Come on, baby, let's Scott tissue roll. So many sheets, it'll thrill your soul. Come on, baby, let that paper roll. Roll on and on.
When a roll of the other leading brand quits, Scott Tissue keeps rolling to 1,000 sheets, so it lasts longer.
Roll on.
Scott Tissue 4-pack and 1 roll. They go a long way to give you more for your money.
Roll on and on.
Serving and informing the Twin Cities for 4 decades. This is WCCO Television, Minneapolis, St. Paul. And now, Bill Carlson, Debbie Ely, Bud Kraling, and Tony Parker bring you Channel 4's Noon Report.
Good afternoon, everyone. Debbie Ely remains on assignment in Reno, and it is the air disaster in Reno that tops our noon report for the 3rd day in a row.
Before reporting on today's events there, Tony, we'll first review a flurry of developments from yesterday. First, officials released some control tower recordings from the final moments before the plane went down. There was panic in the pilot's voice, but it did not reveal why the plane went down. The FBI and other officials continued checking the remains of the victims for positive identification. And the only survivor, who is now in good condition, spoke to reporters for the first time. He said he thought he was dead after the plane crashed. It's felt it's a miracle that George Lamson Jr. is still alive.
And for the latest, let's join Tony Vigneri by telephone. Hello, Tony.
Hello, Tony. The people here have begun the process now of clearing the wreckage from the site. Traffic is starting to flow around the area. The area is congested from people coming in to just look at the area. Right now, there's a news conference going on by the county coroner here. We're not sure at this point if they're ready to release the names of the victims. We also know at this time that the latest information from the National Transportation Safety Board in concern to the what may have caused the crash, there was some information that the propellers had fallen off, but the NTSB people are saying that did not happen. They said both the propellers were intact at the time of the crash. What we do know is that Galaxy had taken off one of their propellers because it had run beyond its inspection period. They had put on a leased one about 2 weeks before the crash, and then on the day of the crash, about 8 hours before, in Seattle, they had put on the old propeller, and that propeller was not inspected by the FAA. That's against FAA regulations. And then the crash, they said the propeller was on, but again, they found all propeller blades about 800 feet behind the crash. Again, at this hour, the coroner's office is holding a news conference, and we'll be here to update you on the latest information, Tony.
Okay, thank you, Tony. I'm sure we'll get more from you on the evening reports.
Right.
Thank you.
2 lawsuits have already been filed as a result of this accident. There are expected to be more. Trish Van Pilsum reports.
That lawsuits are being filed is not surprising. Disasters like these nearly always end in litigation. What may be surprising is how soon it's happened. The victims have not yet officially been identified. But attorneys for the survivors say they get a strategic edge by jumping in so quickly.
As well as I know Margaret, if you knew her as well as I did, you'd know that this is exactly what she would want to have done. She would want to go after the persons responsible for her death and see to it that her survivors are taken care of.
Stone King today filed a lawsuit asking for an excess of $50,000 for the family of Margaret and Richard Jasperson of Edina. His firm will represent at least 8 other families. They're suing Galaxy Airlines, Lockheed, the company that made the plane, Caesar's Palace, and High Thayer, who organized the junket, and the yet unknown company that maintained the plane. A second lawsuit was filed today on behalf of the family of 28-year-old Binyam Medhani. It asks $15 million from Galaxy and Lockheed. Local attorneys working on that case have called in a national expert who handles nothing but plane accident litigation. Lee Kreindler says he's never lost a case against Lockheed.
There's enough to suspect structural failure of sorts, whether it's the aircraft or the engine-propeller combination. Is a little early to say.
Of course, nobody knows yet exactly what caused the crash, and these lawyers concede they've done no research into the accident yet, but they're confident that Lockheed and the airline are at fault, saying accidents don't just happen, something goes wrong. Trish Van Pilsum, WCCO Television News, the Twin Cities.
In the aftermath of the Reno crash, there are 2 American military planes now missing with a total of 30 people aboard them. One plane is believed to have crashed off the northern coast of Honduras yesterday. 5 of the 21 Air Force crew members are reportedly from Wisconsin. Officials say the plane was not involved in any fighting. The other plane appears to have gone down en route from Japan to Guam. It's a Navy plane with 9 people aboard. The search for that plane continues at this hour. One of the Philippines' most powerful leaders has been indicted today in the 1983 murder of popular opposition candidate Benigno Aquino. General Fabian Ver and 9 others were named as accessories to Aquino's killing by a civilian investigations panel. General Ver is a close aide to Filipino President Ferdinand Marcos. He could receive 20 years in prison if found guilty. 16 others were also indicted by the panel for being directly involved in the murder, and they could be executed if found guilty. Tony?
Well, after being shut down for almost a year, Minnesota's nuclear power plant in Monticello was restarted today with about 80% of its power. The Northern States Power Company closed it down last February for refueling and maintenance. NSP says a second short shutdown will take place this weekend, but after that, the plant will return to full power. Some Share employees claim the company isn't sharing the wealth. They're out on strike today, and we'll have a live report from Mike Walcher next.
Some breads look like D'Italiano, but they don't taste like D'Italiano. D'Italiano has the taste and texture of real Italian bread. It even has real sesame seeds. So it's the perfect bread for Italian ham, pepperoni, sausage and peppers, even such old Italian favorites as corned beef, tuna fish, and American cheese. So if you want a hearty sliced bread that gives any food a delicious Italian accent, insist on real D'Italiano, only from Tasty.
Remember the taste of good times, friend. Remember the taste of s'mores. Remember the taste.
It's back again.
In a granola bar called s'mores. Remember the taste of marshmallow friend with graham and chocolate galore. Remember the taste.
It's back again.
In a granola bar called s'mores. Remember the taste of good times, friend. Remember the taste of s'mores. Remember the taste.
It's back again.
In a granola bar called s'mores. Remember the taste. It's back again. In a granola bar called s'mores.
Ralston brand s'mores chewy granola bars.
Next, a man sues his friend for breaking his foot.
He was completely drunk to where I couldn't talk to the guy. Tell him, get your hands off me. I've never seen you this drunk before.
But his friend says it was just horseplay.
We're sparring. We're out there playing. You know, I'd come at him, shoot a couple of kicks.
No sparring.
I was shooting a couple of kicks and punches at him. He's blocking them. And then he'd turn around, he'd come back at me and shoot a couple back and forth at me.
The Case on People's Court, Wednesday at 4 on Channel 4.
180 union workers at 6 Share healthcare clinics are on strike this noon.
Tony, they hit the picket lines this morning at 6 a.m., and Mike Walcher joins us from one of the strike locations, the Energy Park Medical Center in St. Paul. Mike, what's the situation?
Well, the situation is that picketing is going on here, but the clinic is open, as all 6 of the struck clinics are open, and the union members have made a point of not trying to discourage any patients from going in. Health care is being provided at the various clinics that have been struck by the members of the Professional Health Care and Technical Workers Local 113. This was the scene earlier today as the picket lines went up, this after 3 months of failed negotiations on a new 3-year contract. The dispute is over wages, pure and simple, over basic salary. These workers, who are primarily LPNs, lab workers, x-ray technicians, clerical workers, and so on, they want a raise of 20.5% over the next 3 years. The Share Health Associates clinics have offered a raise of 14.5%. Obviously, they are 6 percentage points apart on the basic salary. In addition, they want some better fringe benefits. Share argues that they can't give those extra fringe benefits because they would, in effect, amount to an extra several percentage points that it would cost the Share clinics to pay these 180 healthcare professionals. As I say, the clinics are open. They are being staffed by registered nurses, by administrative staff. Other people are helping out, and we had a discussion with the executive director of the Share clinics, and he assured us that quality health care is being given, and indeed we were inside the clinic here, which is just over here to my left, and we did find that there were a lot of patients were coming in. They were getting x-rays, they were getting blood tests, and so on, and so the clinics were operating.
Well, Mike, I know you just said you were inside. Was there any effect as far as a slowdown on the patient getting their care today because of the strike?
There might be some minor effect, but I don't think it's very major. Folks we talked to seem to be fairly satisfied with the care they were getting. Obviously, the question in a case like this, as it was during the nurses' strike last summer in the Twin Cities, the long-term effect, the exhaustion that comes on. And the director of this clinic, I asked him about it. He said, yes, you know, people are going to be very tired. They're working very hard, and if it is a long strike, then I think you could expect some more severe impact. But at this point, we don't know whether that will be the case or not.
Mike, spirits do seem to be high among those people on the picket line. Do they then apparently expect a short strike?
No, I think they're prepared to stay out for quite a while. I believe this is going to be quite a long struggle. At this point, there are no negotiations scheduled. They have been meeting with a federal mediator in the past, but nothing scheduled as of this moment. And I suspect they're going to be looking at not a short strike, certainly.
Okay, thank you very much, Mike Walcher. The hold on inflation in the U.S. continued through 1984. The government's consumer price index figures, just out this morning, show that there was just a slight increase in December, which made last year's gain an even 4%. It's the best 3-year inflation rate since the 1960s. Study Commission members of the oil cartel OPEC announced today in Kuwait that they will recommend lowering the price of a barrel of oil by $1. Kuwaiti news sources say that the recommendation will be presented to the next full meeting of OPEC on January 28th in Geneva. Other sources say that the committee may even recommend that the price be dropped up to $2.50 per barrel. Tony?
Well, are you really still convinced that Florida is the place to be in the winter months? Temperatures there went below freezing for the second night in a row. It's supposed to warm up, but in the meantime, NASA's canceled its secret shuttle flight plan for today. It's worried the icing on the shuttle's external fuel tank would break off during the launch and hurt the insulation tiles. The liftoff has been rescheduled for tomorrow. And citrus farmers spent another night doing what they could do to salvage crops. Some sprayed their fields with water so they'd freeze. Others just tried to keep them warm the best way possible. So it appears the nickname Sunshine State doesn't necessarily mean a warm state. If this keeps up, we might have to re-nickname Florida. I mean, we don't expect that kind of weather down there.
No, really, it's very unusual. It is the Sunshine State today. It's sunny in Jacksonville.
It's sunny, but but cold.
Temperatures are forecast to be in the low 50s, the northern part of Florida today. What about our own forecast? I'll answer that question.
All right.
Okay, this afternoon, variable cloudiness. We could have got an occasional light snow flurry in the metro area. It'd be around 25 degrees. We're sunny at the moment, and our temperature is at 22 degrees. Humidity 57%. The wind is from the west, 10 miles an hour. Pressure reading is 29.79. The pressure is falling. So the temperature is 22 degrees, and for the moment, sunny in the metro area. Over the upper Mississippi Valley, temperatures this morning were single digits and in the teens. 11 degrees has been our minimum temperature so far this morning. The teens are extended out of the five-state area to the mid-Atlantic coastal area. It was 14 this morning at Asheville, North Carolina, in the 20s, as we've talked about, into the southeast. 28 degrees at Daytona Beach, Florida, and 9 Florida cities set or tied minimum temperature records this morning, including Hollywood, Florida, where the temperature was 30 degrees. And forecasting for today, temperatures in the 20s from Helena through our metro area to Chicago, 26 forecast at Chicago. Temperatures in the 40s from Memphis to Washington, D.C. And we have 32 at Denver and temperature 55 at San Francisco. There has been snow over the northern part of North Dakota through the morning. In fact, forecast, you see the clouds moving into North Dakota. 1 to 2 inches of snow by afternoon is forecast for much of North Dakota, and occasional light snow or snow flurries into the metro area in west central Wisconsin. We have travel advisories and what is called lake effect snow, northeastern Ohio, northwestern and north central New York for the afternoon, and buildup of some cloud cover and rain forecast for much of Texas, and also for the west central part of California for the afternoon. Here's our forecast for the metro area. We are sunny now and 22 degrees in the Twin Cities, and we'll go to about 25 this afternoon. It's also sunny at Rochester, where the temperature is 20 degrees, and there are light snow flurries, and the temperature is 18 at Duluth. The Twin Cities forecast a variable cloudiness, chance of flurries this afternoon, and go along with that, a high of 25. Westerly winds 10 to 20. Tonight, variable cloudiness, and we have chance of light snow or flurries, and 12 degrees above zero, and still with those westerly winds. And for tomorrow, variable cloudiness, again a chance of light snow or flurries, and breezy with westerly winds at 15 to 25. Now we'll skip quickly to Saturday, and the preliminary outlook for the Winter Carnival Parade is for partly sunny with temperatures in the teens.
And so just a little bit cooler, but still parade weather for Winter Carnival.
I think so. Very acceptable parade
We
weather.
always get nice crowds, no matter how cold it is.
It's a little nip in the air, however, and you know there's going to be a marathon, too, a runner's marathon that takes place just before the parade. A little chilly for that.
I think so.
Folks in Washington, D.C. wouldn't be able to handle it.
No, not speaking
thank
of
you.
that.
If someone breaks into your home and steals a gun, that gun can be like gold to the thief. Dave Nimmer's series is coming up on the Noon Report.
The whole grain wheat isn't enough. The golden honey isn't enough. The pure bran and slow baking with no added preservatives isn't enough to call this wheat bread Home Pride. What makes it Home Pride is real creamery butter. Home Pride splits each loaf, then pours on real creamery butter and lets it bake right in. It gives our wheat bread a taste that's really special. Home Pride Butter Top Wheat. Nature's best ingredients, baked better with butter.
Wheel of Fortune, a show the whole family can enjoy, with puzzles to be solved by the young and young at heart, and prizes to be won by all.
The car belongs to you guys.
So get your family involved. See who can solve the puzzles first at your house. Wheel of Fortune with Pat Sajak and Vanna White.
The Wheel Spins, weeknights at 6:30 on WCCO Television, Channel 4.
Look, Whitey has been getting rich off the futures market for years. Now I want my share. It's time we integrated money.
But George, making money out of a disaster?
It's all legal, Weezy. Whitey fixed that.
But what about the farmers? Their crops getting ruined by the flood. Go to sleep.
I can't sleep. I'm too excited. Woo, boy, if that rain keeps up, I could be a big man in beans.
The Jolly Black Giant.
The Jeffersons, Wednesday night at 10:30 on WCCO Television.
Burglary is the most common felony crime in Minnesota, and one of the reasons is guns.
Well, Bill, it's not that the burglars have guns, their victims do, and the burglars want them. Today, in part 2 of our cover story, Dave Nimmer offers a case in point.
Parked here, facing south.
Vern Broughton came home about 7 one December evening to find his house broken into and his guns stolen.
Evidently, they just broke the window and reached in, flipped the deadbolt, and they got in the house.
Police quickly arrested the juvenile suspects and recovered Broughton's truck, but not the guns.
And in 40 minutes, they had unloaded everything they stole out of the house. They had stripped the vehicle, radio, speakers, everything out of it, stolen everything I had behind the seat as far as tools, in 40 minutes.
And the guns were gone.
And the guns were gone, no trace of them, never heard a word about them.
And most victims never hear a word about them. The serial numbers are rarely recorded. The burglars know that, and they also know where to find them. Consider the 2 burglars on the right in this police surveillance picture. They admitted to pulling more than 700 burglaries. And here they tell an undercover policeman that guns are a high priority. Not only that, they know how to use them.
You said you'd shoot somebody ready to go to jail. Yeah, I was. With what? That's the first thing I hear. When I go in the house, I know exactly where to find the gun. Really? I will load them immediately. Look in the closets for the guns are right in the gun shelf.
And where did Vern Broughton keep his 2 favorite shotguns?
I had it right in the closet. Wasn't concealed or anything like that.
Authorities say most gun owners are like Broughton. They don't try to hide their guns or take out parts. And they become likelier and likelier targets. One of the bigger gun rip-offs in Minneapolis history occurred here on James Avenue North about 9 months ago. The owner of the gun shop, who operated his business out of his house here, was robbed and bound. He lost more than 50 guns, and those guns included rifles, shotguns, and handguns. The case was closed, however, within 3 weeks, and 3 suspects were arrested. One of them is now doing 5 years here in Stillwater. His name's Billy Ray, and he claims this was his first gun deal. But his inexperience didn't prevent him from getting rid of the guns in a hurry.
Usually somebody on the street just want them or something, or you find some fence or something, I suppose.
But how long did it actually take?
Within 3 or 4 days, something like that.
And the reason the guns moved so quickly, as anyone in here knows too well, is that guns are good street currency.
These days they are because they're harder to get. And the law now, they're saying they're trying to ban it. Trying to ban handguns and rifles and keep them, from people. But like back in the 60s and 70s, you could get them easy. But now they're getting hard to get. That's why you get high bucks for them.
He also got hard time. But he might have just as easily got away with it, except for a couple of savvy Minneapolis detectives who enlisted the help of the Federal Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Division. Not only do the feds have firearms expertise, they also have subpoena power that makes reluctant witnesses take note.
The mother of one of the people that was involved had actually seen some of the guns and totally refused to admit that A, her son had been involved, B, that she had seen the guns. When she was served the federal grand jury subpoena, she thought about it for, I'd say about an hour and a half. And then she called us and said that she wanted to come in and tell us what had really transpired, and she did.
Now the relationship between the feds and local police has been formalized with the formation of a special weapons task force. With Paul Adelman and Jeff Coffer, I'm Dave Nimmer, WCCO Television News.
Well, Fran Tarkington's selection into the Hall of Fame is delayed one more time. Tony Parker has that story coming up next.
Weight Watchers has big news for you in 85.
Our new improved Quick Start plan lets you lose weight fast and easy, and your first meeting fee is free.
Call Weight Watchers now.
Do you suffer like this? With joint pain, back pain, stress? If you have trouble getting a good night's sleep, rise above all that with a genuine Wool Rest Sleeper. This fleecy, pure wool mattress pad from New Zealand is guaranteed to give you a better night's sleep. Try one for 90 nights at our risk. If at the end of that time you're not sleeping better, we'll refund your money in full. See, feel, and test the amazing Wool Rest Sleeper today at all Slumberland stores in the Twin Cities area. Check the white pages for the location nearest you.
To make white bread delicious enough to call home pride, nature's best ingredients aren't enough. The rich golden crusts aren't enough. The tantalizing aroma isn't enough. To make this white bread home pride takes real creamery butter. Home pride splits each loaf, then pours on real creamery butter just before baking. One taste and you know this is no ordinary white bread. Home pride, butter top, white or wheat. Nature's best ingredients baked better with butter.
Played before 60.
We're talking about that Hall of Fame. You could almost feel a collective, oh, come on, all across the Twin Cities yesterday, couldn't you?
Yeah, but unfortunately, we felt it only here in Minnesota.
Yeah, well.
Them folks out east, and where you go out in Los Angeles and Hollywood, they don't know we're here, you know. And if you don't play for the Rams, or you don't play for the Giants or something, or the Jets, you know, why they...
Yeah, Sid Hartman, who is our own Howard Cosell, however, is loud enough for all of us.
Sid is beside himself.
I know.
Because
and we can't take two of him.
Fran is one of his close personal friends, according to Sid, and he's very unhappy about it. Anyway, the Pro Football Hall of Fame Selection Committee, made up of some 29 sports writers from the NFL's franchise areas, named 5 new members to the Canton, Ohio shrine yesterday. All perhaps were worthy choices, but the group distinguishes this year's choices by one of the big ones they ignored. Quarterback Fran Tarkenton. Tark, who still holds 6 offensive records, was not picked for the 2nd year in a row. Quarterbacks Roger Staubach and Joe Namath were chosen. Roger, of course, is Mr. Clean. Namath, on the other hand, was rowdy, endeared himself to the Eastern writers with his off-field persona. Running back O.J. Simpson was everybody's choice. The Juice rewrote the running backs book. Commissioner Pete Rozelle, named for his 25 years of service, and old-timer 62-year-old offensive lineman Frank Gatzke, who anchored the Cleveland line in the 40s and 50s, was also chosen. Now, there's no need to argue over the selection of Namath and Staubach. Both cut a wide swath in the annuals of the NFL, but Tarkenton's influence on the game, as well as his amazing record of 18 years in the league, puts him at the head of the class. Along with Viking offensive coach Jerry Burns, Tark practically rewrote the book on how to play quarterback in the NFL. He called his own plays. He originated the scramble, the same technique Joe Montana used just 2 weeks ago to engineer that Super Bowl victory. The moving pocket, play-action pass, the short passing game, all being used by today's teams, came from the Tarkenton Burns concept of offense. But all of that notwithstanding, of course, the selection committee did not put him in the Hall of Fame today. But Fran also marched to the beat of a different drummer during his career. That might have had some effect. His style didn't go down well, the Eastern establishment, and that alone is probably the biggest single reason that his induction has been delayed again. But if you're going to vote him in sooner or later, guys, you might as well do it now if that Hall of Fame is going to continue to have any legitimacy. The Minnesota Strikers also came close last night, but no cigar. The Strikers lost to the Los Angeles Lasers 5-4 in Met Center. Minnesota beat the Lasers last week in L.A., but when Stuart Lee scored here, the Lasers led 5-1 in the 3rd period of last night's rematch. Number 8, John Bain and Alan Willey scored within 18 seconds of each other in a 4th period rally by the Strikers, but they were unable to close the gap in regulation play. The Strikers were made at home this week. They've got the big one coming up this Friday night when they host the New York Cosmos. And the North Stars will be the host team tonight in Met Center. They take on the Pittsburgh Penguins, and Lou Nandy has called up 3 players from the minors in an effort to get the Stars rolling. Now, coming up are Brian Lawton, Tim Trimper, and Dirk Graham. The Stars will also have regular defensemen Kurt Giles and Craig Hartsford back tonight off of injuries. So apparently Sonmore and Nanny are giving it a good shake, trying to do something about the December slump that's now all the way through January.
Yes, the February slump is going to be with us momentarily. Are the names of the 29 voters in that Hall of Fame known?
Well, they're known. You'd have to go dig to get them all. Sid is on that list.
Would you not suspect that they will be getting an avalanche of mail now?
No, I don't think so.
Don't you think so?
Target just didn't have the opportunity to perform that well in the major markets, as they say, major markets.
But even if it was just from the Twin Cities, I mean,
And,
we can create an avalanche just on
But
ourselves.
everybody loves Roger. He's Mr. Clean, and Rowdy Joe and his girlfriends and so forth. You know, that helps a lot.
Bill seems a little
just
upset
wait for
about
next,
that.
wait for next year.
Well, here's something to lift your spirits. Some students at Purdue University are determined not to be bothered by the cold and make a practice of turning a cheek of another kind to winter each year. The students just held their annual Nude Olympics.
Oh, no.
Here again, except for next year I'm going to try and win. I'm not in shape right now.
I do it again. I got paid $50.
All right.
I think it's a little too cold for that, but...
Gives wind chill a whole new concept.
Yes.
We talk about the weather.
Just a little bit.
Variable cloudiness in the metro area this afternoon. No nude Olympics here, I'll tell you. 25 of the high. We'll be around 12 above tonight. Could get some light snow this afternoon, tonight, and tomorrow. So we add a little bit to our snow cover. We got 6 inches of snow on the ground now in the Twin Cities, and a little over 10 we've accumulated for the month, so we'll add a tad to that.
I had heard you were a champion in that event when you were in college.
When I was younger.
Yeah.
Well.
We better wrap all this up, and we'll see you tomorrow with all our clothes on. Thank you for joining us.
Have a good day.
There's a complex of pests out there waiting to attack your corn crop. And you need protection that's best for conservation tillage. Counter Systemic Insecticide Nematicide cuts through the clutter to concentrate protection in furrow for the broadest spectrum control you can get. Seed Safe Counter works on contact and systemically for a strong, healthy stand. Counter, banded or in furrow, best for conservation tillage, guaranteed.
We're your Blade X sales team. We and your dealer want your cornfields to be weed-free. All we ask is that you use Blade X at today's rates. We're so sure you'll be pleased with the weed control that we stand behind Blade X with our Satisfied Performance Agreement, which means if you're not satisfied, we'll respray your fields at no cost to you. Sound fair? Yeah! It is. So see your dealer and believe in